And the biggest thing is he's trying to prove everybody he can be a pocket passer when realistically his best job is outside the pocket and throwing the ball down the middle of the field. We've seen him throw the ball outside on the numbers, and it hasn't been that great. So, I don't know how far he can take him. I mean, he's still playing like he's the same way he did at Louisville. They can win the games, but can't get to the big game. So, I don't know how far they're going to take him, how far he's going to end up taking him because he can't do it consistently, and he can't throw the ball outside consistently to receivers, which he doesn't have. I mean, his best receiver is Andrews, the tight end. So I don't know how far this team can go when your number one receiver actually is a tight end.
So, Crow, you're saying you're not that sold on Lamar going forward, as in maybe he was a little bit of an overrated MVP coming off last year?
No, I don't think it was overrated. I think he had a heck of a year as an MVP year. But what you see from him now is it's the non-consistent throws that he's throwing on the outside. He can't throw the ball outside. When he gets the ball outside on the run, I think that's his best threat because he has a running pass option. So I think if the Ravens offensive coordinator and that staff can get him on the outside and give him that RPO type look, I think you can go far. But how far can you really go when your number one receiver is a tight end?
Okay, so let's say you're playing the Ravens in your heyday as a Pro Bowl corner, and you've got Hollywood Brown single coverage. How afraid are you of Lamar, as Shannon says, jumping out the window, and all of a sudden you got to go try to track him down?
I'm not afraid at all because I know I can track him down. Same thing with Hollywood Brown. That's something I was never be worried about. One thing is Hollywood Brown's 165 pounds.
Yep. He can fly. He can fly now.
And back in my heyday,
I know you can fly too.
Yeah. So me pressed up against somebody the whole entire game, I'm just gonna try to beat him up and put him out of bounds the whole entire game. Now you eliminate that one option. Now he has to try to find the other options to go from there.
I agree with Crow because right now, as we said, Skip, Buffalo, Steelers, Brown, Chiefs, Titans, Colts. The Ravens win, they get in. Do I believe they can beat the Chiefs? I don't. The Titans have seemed to have their number because they can't do anything with Derrick Henry. And so now Derrick Henry runs the ball and he play actions you. And what those teams have done with Lamar is force him to beat him throwing the football. They said, we're not going to let your legs beat us today, Lamar. Throw the football. Now, could they beat the Steelers? Yeah, I believe they could beat the Steelers. Could they beat Buffalo? I don't know. Buffalo's offense, because if you look...
You remember Lamar at Buffalo last year? He was really good.
He was
throwing darts.
That was last year.
But Skip, and plus their defense is not the same as Skip. We just saw Baker Mayfield just go up and down the field on that defense. And we've seen teams go up and down the field. For whatever reason, they don't seem to have the same bite that they had last year. So when I look at it, how far... Everything's going to be predicated on who they get the first matchup. If they got the Steelers, could they beat the Steelers? Yeah, they could beat the Steelers, Skip. If they got the Colts, they've already beaten the Colts, sure. But do I think they could beat the Titans if they got the Titans again? I don't know, Skip. So how far is going to be predicated on who they get the first round matchup. They get the wrong first round matchup, they can be out. They get the right first round matchup, they can go on another week. But do I see them beating Kansas City or beating the Titans and advancing all the way to the Super Bowl, Skip? I don't see that happening.
So, more than either of you two, I believe in Lamar Jackson and I believe in the Ravens. I believed in them so much going into the year, I picked them to win it all this year, and I'm going to stand by that. Even though they got to fight their way just to make it into the playoffs.
Well,
they have the easiest remaining schedule.
If you can't beat Jacksonville, Cincinnati, the Giants.
They should. I do believe that Monday night's going to be a springboard for a team that was COVID-racked the whole year. It completely knocked them off kilter, out of schedule, off balance. They were fighting COVID worse than any team in this league. And I think Monday night they finally all just sort of came back together and heaved a sigh, and here they went. And it was fairy tale, storybook, only in Hollywood sort of finish to that game. And I do think it's going to create some genuine momentum for them through 3 fairly easy games that they should win.
Right.
And here's my point about Lamar that I cannot explain. In big games at home in Baltimore, he has been pathetic. He has been scary bad in 2 home playoff games. He was scary bad against my homeboy and against Roethlisberger at home this year.
Right.
They lost those games. In those 4 combined games, he's horrible. He's fumbled 9 times and lost 5, thrown 5 interceptions. His QBR is a grand total of average 24 on a scale of 0 to 100. He's just been bad at home. He's been great on the road. He was great the other night at Baker. He was great at Mahomes. That's when I first realized, wait a second, Lamar's going to be special in this league. Remember that game?
Yes.
Okay. So I like them as road warriors because Shannon Sharp knows us better than anybody. I just love the tradition of that team. They got a bunch of ballers. He lost 2 stud offensive linemen this year, and they're just now starting to get it back together. The defense, I agree with you, it hadn't been the same, but those 2 corners are legit. They may not be Cromartie's, but those 2, they're both really good.
But the one thing they could do last year, Crow, is that they could rush the passer. So now Peters could jump those routes.
No, but Judon can get after you.
But Skip, that's why they went out and got Ngakoue. Because they wasn't
getting there.
You're right. And they still, I mean, Baker was unscathed.
And I thought Calais, is he on his last legs? I thought he was the perfect sort of Ozzie Newsome memorial signing. That's how the Ravens go get Shannon Sharp later in his career, and he comes in and he's big play Shea, right?
Yes.
Well, I needed big play Calais, right?
You got to think about this. They gave up 42 points to Baker Mayfield in that offense. One, they can't stop the running game. They're still having trouble stopping the running game, as the Ravens defense is. So you got to think, if you got a good running game, what does that do for you in the playoffs? If you face any, like you say, Shannon said, face anybody good that has a good running game, they're not going to make it past the first round, whoever they play first, because they cannot stop the running game. And like you say, we said, Shannon, earlier, if you can make him throw the ball and make him throw the ball on the outside, you got a better chance at winning the game with him trying to run with it. I mean, say when him throwing the ball down the middle of the field to Andrews or down to Hollywood Brown down the middle, or even him gets outside of the pocket and having to run past Reed. But when you look at the whole entire Ravens team as a whole, like you said, it hasn't had a bite. If they don't bite, they can't stop the run. And honestly, with the injuries they're having on the back end, even with Marcus Peters not being fully healthy, you can attack that secondary as much as possible.
But remember, I do remind you, Cleveland came in #1 rushing attack in pro football, so there's no shame in getting run on by Cleveland.
But Skip, if you can't, think about it, if you can't stop the Titans, how do you beat them? If you can't pressure Mahomes, how do you beat him? Remember what he did? They didn't get no pressure on him. You see what Mahomes did? He made it got very ugly very quickly in Baltimore. It's not going to be any different. These teams, like I said, they've beaten Cleveland twice. They went to Indy, beat Indy. But when you look at it, the Chiefs, Titans, or Buffalo, do you really believe they could beat one of those?
On the road, I do. Has Tennessee not been more vulnerable at home?
Well, Tennessee can't.
What did Baker do to Tennessee at home?
Tennessee can't rush the passer either.
Okay.
But that's not what Baltimore does really well. So the thing is that when you get to the playoffs, Crow, and correct me if I'm wrong, you really get to hone in. Okay, this is what they do. We go back and look at all 16 games, and there were no preseason, so we can't look at preseason. We look at all 16 games, and what we've identified is that they're a better team when Lamar does this and this and this. So we're going to take this away, and we're going to make him go elsewhere. If we blitz him, we're going to blitz him in his face to make him go from his non-dominant arm. And that's how you beat teams. If you beat me with your secondary option, Skip, I got to give you credit. Oh, congratulations, man. Good luck. Stay healthy. But Chiefs, Titans, I don't think they match up favorably with Chiefs, Titans, or the Bills because they don't pressure the quarterback and they don't stop the run.
Hey.
And you gotta think about this, Skip. Another thing about the playoffs is when you're going into the playoffs, like Shannon said, you tone in on everything they do well. So what do you think pass rushing going to be? Don't go above the quarterback. That's all it's going to be. Make him step up in the pocket and throw every single pass. Don't let him get outside the pocket.
Right.
It's going to be a point where they're going to have to design plays for him to get out of the pocket because if they send him in the pocket, they're not going to let him do that. You saw that, and that's how you're going to attack Lamar Jackson. You got to keep him inside the pocket and make him make the tough throws, which we've seen in this season and part of last year that he cannot make those tough throws.
Crow, as fast as you were, you versus Lamar in the open field, I got Lamar.
Oh, I guarantee you'll lose all your coins. You're going to lose all your chickens.
On that